In our previous session, we were looking at the straight line method. And in the straight line method of depreciation, we were able to see that the depreciation cost is evenly distributed across the useful life of a fixed asset. Now, let's look at a motor vehicle. In the very beginning, when the motor vehicle is new and it is being used, sometimes it's going to work more. It could make 5 trips a day in maybe it's being used to deliver goods. However, as the useful life of this motor vehicle progresses, its performance begins to reduce. A car that was making 5 trips a day in its first year of operation, when it reaches maybe in its 5th year of operation, it can only make 3 trips a day. So that means that we derived more benefits from this car when it had just been bought than when it was operating 5 years later. And so because the benefits we are deriving from the car when it had just been bought are more than the benefits we are deriving from the car a few years later as it's operating, it's only logical that we are supposed to allocate a higher cost for depreciation when the car is still new, since we are deriving more benefit from it, and we should allocate a lower cost of depreciation later on, because later on, as the car is operating, the benefits we are deriving from this car begin to reduce. So to ensure that we are allocating a higher cost of depreciation at the beginning when the car is performing much better than later on, we use a method we call the reducing balance method. The reducing balance method of depreciation seeks to allocate a higher cost for depreciation in the first years of a fixed asset and then later when the fixed asset has begun to deteriorate in its performance. We are going to do a worked example to demonstrate how the reducing balance method of depreciation plays out. So let's look at our screen here. We have, first of all, the formula for depreciation is given by the rate of depreciation, multiply that by the net book value. And how do we find the net book value? We get the net book value of an asset by getting the cost of the asset and we subtract the accumulated depreciation. We'll be able to see it in this worked example and it will all come out clear. Now, an asset at a cost of 10,000 whose useful life is 3 years has been granted us. What is required of us now is to calculate the depreciation charge using the reducing balance method. So we have an asset, it costs 10,000 and it has a useful life of 3 years and we are supposed to depreciate it using reducing balance method. So since its useful life is 3 years, so we are going to start depreciating it year by year. So let's look at its depreciation in the first year. Calculate the depreciation charge at a rate of 40% using the reducing balance method, and thereafter state its salvage value. So let's get started to that. So first of all, when we are calculating depreciation using the reducing balance method, it's going to be the rate of depreciation, multiply that by the net book value of the asset. So let's look at the first year. In the first year, this asset was bought at 10,000. So 10,000, that is it's just the first year, it has not yet been depreciated at all. So if we're to find the net book value of that asset in the first year, it's going to be 10,000, subtract accumulated depreciation, in this case it is 0. So 40% of that in the first year, 40% of the net book value is going to be 4,000. And so meaning that 4,000 in the first year, that's going to be the depreciation. So the double entry there is going to be that we're going to debit the depreciation expense account by 4,000, and we shall go ahead and credit the accumulated depreciation account by the same amount of 4,000. Now take note that the accumulated depreciation account sometimes can be called provision for depreciation, but for this video let me just stick to accumulated depreciation, but in the background, it's the same treatment if we use the word provision for depreciation. So that's how it looks like. That is year one. So now that we have depreciated it at 4,000, what is the net book value? The net book value of the fixed asset. When we are talking about fixed assets here or non-current assets, when we are preparing the balance sheet at the end of the trading period, we state the value in the book. The value of the asset in the book is the net book value. In other words, we get the cost of the asset, we less it by the accumulated depreciation, and now the value we state in our books of accounts is the net book value. And so in this case, the net book value that is going to appear in the balance sheet is going to be 10,000 minus 4,000, which is 6,000. So 6,000 is the net book value of this asset at the end of the first year. So let's move on to the second year. So in the second year, this is how it plays out. In the second year, we are still going to depreciate it. Again, in the second year, we are going to depreciate it. The rate, which is 40%, multiply that by the net book value. Now we found out the net book value to be 6,000. The net book value by the end of the previous year was 6,000. So it's going to be 40%. Multiply that by 6,000. And we shall end up with a depreciation rate for that second year of 2,400. So the depreciation for that year being 2,400, we shall go ahead and debit the depreciation expense account by 2,400, and then we shall go ahead and credit the accumulated depreciation account by the same amount, 2,400. You take note that the depreciation expense account is charged, or it is handled in the profit and loss. So we know that with accounts of profit and loss, those ones are always closed off at the end of the year. But the account for accumulated depreciation will have a balance that is supposed to be carried forward to the next trading period. So in this case, accumulated depreciation, from there you can see that it is having a balance brought forward from the previous period of 4,000. Then now we are supposed to again credit it with the depreciation for that year, which is 2,400. So that's the accumulated depreciation. And when we balance out that account, you realize that we shall have a balance of 6,400 as accumulated depreciation. So when we are presenting this in the balance sheet, we'll call it the statement of financial position, at the end of that year, as far as the value of this asset is concerned, the net book value is going to be the cost of the asset, which is 10,000, less the net book value, which is 6,400. Less, it's going to be 10,000 less the accumulated depreciation, which is going to be 6,400. And so it means that this fixed asset at the end of the second year, it's going to have 3,600 as its net book value. So it's 3,600, that is its net book value at the end of the second year. Now we move on to the next year. In the third year, still, we are going to use the same formula. It's going to be the rate, which is rate, multiply that by the net book value. So it's going to be 40%, multiply that by the net book value as of close of last year. We found the net book value as the close of last year being 3,600. So it's going to be 40%, multiply that by 3,600, and we shall end up with 1,440. So 1,440 so happens to be the depreciation for that year. So we shall do the double entry, debit the depreciation account by 1,440, and that depreciation is handled in the profit and loss account. And then the credit, we credit the accumulated depreciation. Now remember, accumulated depreciation, if you look at the T account, it is having an opening balance of 6,400, yes. Then we will go ahead and credit the depreciation for the third year, which is 1,440, and that's how we finish up the double entry. And definitely, if we are to balance off, we will find that in the accumulated depreciation account, we are having a recurring balance of 7,840. So at the end of the third year, we want to find what value of the asset we are going to post to the balance sheet. The presentation is going to be, we are going to state the cost less the accumulated depreciation. So in this case, the net book value of this asset at the end of the third year is going to be the cost of the asset, which is 10,000, deduct the accumulated depreciation, which in this case is 7,840, and what we remain with is 2,160. So from there, we have been able to depreciate this fixed asset by over the 3 years, and we have ended up with that salvage value of 2,160. That salvage value simply means that at the end of the useful life of this asset, if we are to dispose it off, that is the estimate of how much we can get from it as a result of the disposal of that asset. So from what you've been able to see, you're able to see that when it comes to reducing balance method, you are able to see that there is a higher value for depreciation at the beginning of the useful life of the fixed asset. Then towards the end of the useful life of the fixed asset, as you progress on, the depreciation amount keeps reducing and reducing and reducing. So that is not just like that is different from the straight line method, where the depreciation amount was uniformly distributed across the useful life of the fixed asset. So that's it with reducing balance method. In our upcoming session, we are going to look at the sum of years digits method of depreciation for fixed assets. Arnold Rambakuramia is my name. This is Kisembo Academy.